LoreWarrior Campaigns, The Battle for Luthien. Scenario 1. The Cat Springs. 1 down. Excerpt from a mission debriefing by Tai Michael Canello, 2nd Company, 3rd Luthien Aerospace Wing. We got the launch order at 0447. I know because the klaxon startled me as I was setting my chrono and I dropped the stupid thing. The fall must have broken it, because that's the time it's stuck on. 0447. I ran to the hangar, suited up and launched in under 10 minutes. I guess the Ready 5 ships launched a lot quicker than that, because when I got to the catapult stations they were already gone. I vectored towards the assembly point and joined the rest of my squadron. Taisa Merahu had relayed the attack vector to us and told us to punch a hole in the clanner's barrier patrol. We had to burn hard to catch them before they got too close to Luthien. My wingman, Chewie Emus, joked that we were going to exhaust our fuel or burn out our drives before we closed the combat range with the invaders. I stomped him for that, reminded them that we could make an emergency landing on Luthien or wait for air or space rescue if we ran out of fuel. When we finally caught up with the clan formation, Alpha Flight had already made a few passes, and the clan patrol was already starting to scatter. Emus and I swung in behind a Sulla and raked him from tail to nose. He swung out to follow Emus and left me a clear shot at his tail, so I flipped a rack of LRMs at him and he exploded. Emus and I swung back into attack formation, and that's when we saw the shot-up Jagatai. He looked like he was having trouble with his drives and control units, and a thin stream of ice crystals flowed from his cockpit canopy. It's a wonder the bird was space-worthy at all, the way it was shot up. Using the frequency and codes that Colonel Wolf gave us, I radioed the clanner and offered him a choice: follow us to a Combine base or get shot down. He fell into formation between us and me, and we herded him back to Tsushima. Situation: Luthien system at 0530 hours, 4th of January, 3052. As the forces of the Smoke Jaguars and Nova Cats had begun their high-speed runs for Luthien, the 3rd and 7th Luthien Aerospace Wings intercepted them. The 3rd was instructed to draw defending clan fighters away from their dropships, clearing the way for the heavier attack vessels of the 7th. Trouble with the 7th's catapult launch stations, however, delayed the arrival for several minutes, and during that time, the 3rd had destroyed 9 clan fighters and severely damaged 2 dropships. When the 7th finally arrived, their heavy Slayer and Stuka fighters found the scattered clan fighters easy targets. During the fighting, a Jagatai A of the 3rd Novacat assault cluster had taken heavy damage from one of the 3rd Slayers, but before the Kurita fighter could finish off its crippled prey, a pair of Sithas had engaged it. As the Slayer duelled with its tormentors, a pair of Kurita Shilones under the command of Tai Michael Canello had spotted the crippled Jagatai and forced it to land at Tsushima. Star Captain Yahud had become the first prisoner taken in the Battle of Luthien. Later, the Kanrei himself decorated Tai Canello and Chewie Emus for their part in capturing the enemy fighter. Into the Fire, Scenario 2. 1 more round. Excerpt from The Killing Doves, Friends of the Dragon at War by Yoshinobu Setsuhara, Luthien Publishing, 3055. As Tai Kasugai Ken's F-500 Reaver left the launch catapult, he realised how much the Marek-built fighter differed from his old Eagle. The Reaver, acquired from the Free Worlds League, responded more slowly than the old EA-61, but where the Eagle had mounted energy weapons, the F-500 carried 1 LRM and 4 SRM packs that would give him an excellent chance of scoring multiple hits. And the craft's heavy autocannon could inflict crippling damage in a single run. To complete the package, the Reaver boasted armour considerably heavier than his old Eagles. As the invading clan dropships moved beyond the operational range of the DCMS interceptor forces stationed on Orientalis and Tsushima, Ken and the other Black Dragons scrambled to meet them, intent on destroying any dropships that breached Luthien's atmosphere. Aerospace forces of the Combine's mercenary allies also joined in the task. Situation: Luthien, 2200 hours, 4th of January, 3052. Contrary to many popular accounts, the aerospace engagement that marked the beginning of the Battle of Luthien was not a single epic battle. Rather, it comprised a series of brief, intense skirmishes. The Combine's 3rd Aerospace Wing first engaged the clanners in a fight that lasted less than 20 minutes. A short time later, the 7th Aerospace Wing engaged the Con invasion force in a battle that lasted just under an hour. The invaders then passed beyond the operational ranges of the 2 wings and travelled virtually unmolested for near 15 hours. Combine and allied mercenary aerospace forces stationed on Luthien met the clan dropships as the invaders entered the planet's atmosphere. Right, well, hello and welcome to the post-episode ramble. I know it's short for the first one, mainly because this one is just dealing with the aerospace combat. There's only 2 scenarios that involve them, and I thought I would break these up based on the different areas of combat, and also within a certain time frame. Luthien itself as a battle doesn't last very long. I think it's barely a day, with how short and sweet this thing is. The initial combat obviously taking place in space, with the first scenario being Cat Springs, which is where the Kiritan forces have launched their fighters from hidden lunar bases from Orientalis and Tsushima to engage the clan dropships as they pass through the Luthien airspace and the surrounding sort of moons and the such. So the first battle is basically a snippet of this much larger conflict that's going on at the time, where we have the 3rd Novacat aerospace cluster defending against these 3rd and 7th Luthien aerospace wings. So just to give you an idea, the setup is a Union Lance, which is 2 Union class dropships, one led by Star Captain Vols and the other one by Star Captain Hugh. They both have Union class dropships, both called Kerensky and Richthofen, so we're already going with some of the air combat stuff there. There's a Leopard Lance captained by Star Captain Cadonna in their Leopard class dropship Midway, another air combat reference there. Then we have elements of Trinary fighters. We've got elements of Alpha Star. Key part here, elements of, not the whole thing. There is a video I'm going to do to talk about the order of battle, and I'm going to double check these numbers beforehand, but later on I'm just going to emphasize elements of, because there is definitely, I think, something up with the order of battle, but we'll get to that much later on in a future video. But we have Star Captain Yahud in their Jagatais, A variant, with pilot Marin, Kinua and Kaffa, all in Jagatai A and 2 Sullahs, respectively. And then you've got Bravo Star, which are pilot Mshenge and pilot Ramsden, both in Turks. The basic plan here is that the clans need to get as many of their dropships off the map edge. And on the other side of it, the Kiritans from Company C, 3rd Aerospace Wing, have the Command Lance with Taisar Lawrence Merrihew in their Slayer, and Chewie Wing Sit Chan in their Slayer. Bravo Lance, which is Tai Michael Canello and Chewie Mia Ismus, both in Shilones. Charlie Lance, which is Chewie Cyril Yao and Chewie Karia Akira, both in Sholagars. And then we have elements of A Company from the 7th Aerospace Wing, which is the Command Lance of Chusar Alan Horgan with their Slayer and Tai Frank Kuhlman in a Slayer, and finally the Strike Lance with Tai Abraham Coe in a Lightning and Chewie Birdie Diggs also in a Lightning. So you've got pretty interesting setup there, some dropships with a few fighters, and then you've obviously got the aerospace elements of the Kiritans, and the idea is supposed to be that you're not trying to kill all of the attackers, you're just trying to get your ships off the board and using your fighters to try and hold them off. Interesting little scenario there. The second one is Into the Fire, which is where the fight went into the upper atmosphere of the planet itself, as the clans were trying to obviously set up some landing zones and the such. This one, again, has the clans as the defenders, as we have elements of Trinary dropships, and these are also from the 3rd Novacat, so this will be from their sort of scattered forces or whatever, presumably survived. We have a Union Lance, which is Star Captain Hugh, returning again in their Union class dropship, the Richthofen, and the Leopard Lance with Star Captain Cadonna with their dropship Midway. At this point, though, we also have a much reduced element of Alpha and Bravo Star with pilot Marin and Kinua in the Jagatai and Sullah, and both of Bravo Star with Mshenge and Ramsden, the Turks. That's all the clans get in this one. Meanwhile, the attackers are the Black Dragons of the Kiritan Aerospace Forces. And we've got First Flight, which is Chusa Yoshumaki and Tai Frederick Schott, both in Slayers. Bravo Lance of Tai Kasugai Ken and Chewie Davis Kolb, both in F500 Reavers. And Charlie Lance in Chewie with Lita Cardinali and Robert Nedig in Shilones. And there's elements of Second Flight with Alpha Lance Tai James Nishimura in a Slayer, and Chewie Anthony Redshaw also in a Slayer. The idea is supposed to be in this one is that the clan player has to land their dropships on one of the 2 Battletech hexes on the map sheet. I don't really know how much of this I will show, because I don't know if that would actually get me in trouble, because it's obviously a book that has this. I don't want to post the scenario setups and stuff like that, and all the specific rules, because every scenario has a victory points table and stuff like that. I don't want to show any of that, because, hey, you know, ultimately it's a business, and I don't want to be showing off all that stuff where you could basically look it up and not have to, you know, purchase the book. I'm aware of that with Catalyst, so I can tell you what forces are involved in the fight, but I'm not going to tell you exactly how. I'm not going to show you what the map sheets look like, or where you're supposed to go, and all this stuff, and all special rules, and all these bits and pieces. So yeah, just to make sure there's that. But that's the fight there. It's a pity that they don't have longer write-ups for the scenarios. They are quite short and condensed, but I think we were spoilt by Galtor, unfortunately, but it gives you an idea of what was going on. But anyway, I'll stop talking now. I think I've spoken longer about the actual forces involved than the actual write-ups themselves, so I'll let you all get on with your day. Have a good one. Thanks as always for listening, and I will catch you for the next part. Bye-bye.